Well, I figured I'd go ahead and give everybody the grand tour of this old crusty C10. I rescued this thing about a year ago out back of a dealership. They were using it as a decoration. Well, I don't know if I've rescued it. I've pretty much heard it more times than I've drove it, mainly because of that blower supercharger thingy. You don't know what it's called either. This is one of the torque storm units. And that used to attach to this small block Chevy here, but the small block Chevy decided to change its own oil. That's where we're currently at with it. That's all piston stuff. There's one of the rods out of it. It used to be a 377. Now that it's missing a cylinder, I'm not really sure what the cubic inches would be in it. But that's okay, because I got spare, possibly a spare, and over in the corner, spare. I think I'm going to try to use this one, just because it seems a little bit better off. I picked it up off of a guy from Facebook. He didn't seem to know too much about it. But it had brand new gaskets everywhere and everything looks pretty clean. Just so happened to be a 4-bolt main too. But it just amazed me how clean this thing actually was. I might be able to show you. Yeah. So that's not your typical find for old 350s. Not in my past experience anyway. But this mystery block, we might end up pulling a pan on it tonight. Seeing what we can find with it. My mom actually gave me this motor. She had laying around it. She said it was using oil pretty bad. Said she'd have to put about 2 quarts in for a 30-mile drive. So I'd say that's probably gonna need rings. Well, it's just gonna need a whole rebuild. But the C10, back on this, it's been about a year-long project so far. I started with just pretty much the frame and the chassis. Well, the frame is the chassis, but yeah, you know what I'm saying here. No suspension, no brakes, no fuel lines, no nothing. And I've since then put QA1 on the rears. And I've got Alden American coilovers up front. Everything's power disc brake now. But it's got a Turbo 400 built from Vickers Performance Transmissions out of Ohio. It's got a trans brake, the whole 9 yards. It was actually fairly cheap for me to have him build that. It's held up pretty good so far. So far the transmission's lasted through about 2 of my motor endeavors. Ignore the extremely terribly booger welded exhaust. Had to steer it underneath of the frame rails. But yeah, that's where we're at with it right now. I've probably drove it 4 or 5 times. Broke 2 engines. I am on a roll. But hopefully I can stop my streak sometime soon after I get at least one of these stock engines put in until I can fix on the 377 over there. But now that you're up to date, I guess I'll go ahead and cut this off and get busy.